All right. Have a seat up on your lip, cross your legs at your shins. Feet beneath your knees, shoulders over your hips. Rest your hands lightly on your thighs, upper arms in line with your side ribs so they can dangle, so you can use gravity to help lengthen those upper arms. Begin the process of being, not just doing, but being. There is a doingness to our yoga practice. That doing has to be accompanied by being. Otherwise, it's simply exercise. And exercise is good. I'm not putting exercise down. And if you want simply an exercise practice, that's okay. I fully support that. I did not start yoga myself for a yoga experience. All I want to do is to move my arm again after surgery. So nothing wrong with that. If you are seeking a yoga experience, you have to allow for the being alongside the doing. You people, so I will do that as well. So alongside or right after each action you take, you have to take a moment to observe and to be. So balance evenly on the sit bones. There is a doing. You have to adjust to do that. And then you want to observe what are the effects of that. Lengthen through the inner groins. There's a doing nature to that. And then can you adjust that nature to be, to observe, to notice what else changes. For me, as soon as I lengthen my groins, as soon as I really lengthen the inner thighs, my breath expands. That doesn't have to be you. Just sharing an example of the things you can do to witness how what you are observing, what you are witnessing, may not necessarily be solely in the place where the action is taking place. But it may be somewhere else. It may affect your mind. It may affect the way the thoughts travel through. Draw from the outer knees to the outer hips, compact the hips together. And again, noticing the effects, certainly the physical effects. What does it feel like to have a stable base? How does it affect you physically, not just in the legs and pelvic area, but how does it affect the torso? Or maybe even the neck, or somewhere else? And how does it affect the more subtle experiences, the breath, the mind, thoughts? Perhaps if there's access even to consciousness. Like through your side ribs. Make sure that your front bottom ribs move towards the back body as you like through the side ribs. Again, pausing to notice what else changes. What are the effects? Allow your shoulders to move away from the sides of your neck. And there are large weights or sandbags on those shoulders. Kindly, peacefully moving them down. And there's a lengthening from the armpits to the inner elbows. And are you trying to demand more out of your body, or are you observing your body and moving with it? Seeking to understand the needs of your body, not just what your body can do for you, but what can you do for your body? There needs to be a dialogue, an exchange. Perhaps there's an instruction that you need that I haven't given, because your body is giving you that instruction. Take the instruction from you, from your body. As your elbows descend towards the floor, bring your palms together, thumbs at your chest, touch the palms very evenly, left to right, right to left, without pressing hard, very gentle pressure. There's an evenness. And it's one of those things, like when we're in Tadasana, we say balance equally on our feet. And for most of us, that's barely achievable. This even pressure of the hands, even though that's an instruction we give, we may never fully get it. But it doesn't mean we don't take the journey there. Of course, in a kind, compassionate way, checking in with the body. What does the body need from us today? Broaden across the front chest, broaden across the back chest. You soften your face, rest your eyes into your cheekbones. Scan your body, notice where there's a hardening, and without letting go, without giving in, without collapsing, see if you can find a softening. So the work is still there, but without any harshness. Let's chant the syllable Om 3 times together. Exhaling completely. Deep inhalation. Lifting your sternum towards the ceiling, lower your chin towards your heart. Release your hands onto your thighs with your palms up. With your eyes closed, raise your head. In the back of your head, gently lay your eyes. Before you wonder what the next pose is, prepare to race into whatever the next pose is. Can you be here for a moment? It's how we started. Palms are different. Palms are up, down, up, down. But other than that, it's a similar posture. Can you study? Svadhyaya, self-study. Can you study? What's the difference? This is just a few minutes, a few adjustments, practice observing those adjustments. How has that affected your physical being, your emotional being, your breath, your thoughts? Study for a moment. Straighten your legs. Have your, if you want to be on the floor, that's fine. Otherwise, if you're on a lift, your buttocks is at the very edge of the lift. So the buttocks is on, but the thighs are off your lift. And hands can either be on a surface by your hips, or depending what lift you might have, maybe your fingertips are on the floor beside you, next to your hips. Elbows can be bent, feet are together, toes point straight up at the ceiling. Watch your knees curl up. Bounce evenly on your sit bone. You can fix things with props now. Isn't that exciting? Put this under your knees. Don't roll it up all the way. And balancing on the sit bones here sometimes is as elusive as balancing on the feet. Like you get it and then it disappears. So keep seeking it. There's a glimpse and it goes the other way. That's it. Keep pressing the thighs down. And if that feels too high, if you need to adjust the roll, adjust it. It can be more or less. You just want to protect your knees, but get the action, but not protect them so much that you can't experience the thighs pressing down, because the thighs pressing down are what's going to lift the side ribs up. It's what's going to lift your spine. So if you protect too much, then you won't get the lift. Press your thighs down. And everyone should notice that. Don't press your thighs down and see what happens to your torso. You sink, I let go of my thighs and I immediately sink. My torso is falling out into my pelvis, and therefore my breath is shallow. It's harder for me to breathe. So now I'm going to press my thighs down. I'm not even lifting my torso, it lifts because I press my thighs down. I can lift it more, sure. But just by pressing the thighs down, the torso begins to lift. What happens to me is also my front ribs go forward, right? We've discussed that before. Hey, folks, I'm not the only one, so check in. Take your front ribs towards the back body. Oh, did you feel your abdomen just tighten up, grip? If not, you're not doing it because this is an abdominal pose. And notice how that then affects the breath. Now extend through the inner legs, extend the inner groins, all the way out through the inner heel, through the balls of the toes. Drop your outer knees to your outer hips, compact the hips. And then we have to return to the being. Keeping those actions, then be, observe, study. And not just the lengthening of the groins. Well, what does it feel like to lengthen my inner legs? What does it feel like to compact the hips? That is a part of it. But how does that affect other parts of your body? How does that affect the torso? How does that affect the breath? How does it affect the neck, shoulders? Or maybe it doesn't. I'm not saying it has to, but you must begin to observe. Relax your shoulders, George. Shoulders down. Lift the chest to release the shoulders. That's it. Broaden across the front chest. Most of that, someone comes instinctually, broaden across the back chest as well. There's more lung surface on the back chest than the front chest. I only found that out last year. It was fascinating to me. You're beginning to lean back, Sean, so you can bring your whole torso. And of course, check in. Are there instructions that I haven't given you that you need, that your body wants? Are you working hard? Is there a harshness or a softness? Softness does not mean lack of work. It means work without harshness. Separate your legs. Thigh bones down. Good. Press the thighs down. Kneecaps up, toes up. Try to have the same experience on both legs. Which leg is working harder? Which leg works first? Which leg is stronger? And it doesn't mean that you have to work the leg that isn't paying attention. It doesn't mean you always have to work that harder. Sometimes you do. For me, not mirroring using my right leg doesn't have the awareness. So I do have to bring extra awareness and have this do what I know it can do. But at the same time, I have to ease off my left leg to even them out. Because no matter how hard I work my right leg, it won't match my left leg right now, today, this moment. It doesn't mean never, it just means today. And sometimes you just have to pull back on the leg that's working harder. Sometimes you have to work one harder, sometimes you have to work one less, sometimes you have to do a little of both. You have to go in and figure out what's right for you today. Goes up a little bit. Thigh bones press down so that the torso lifts. Lengthen the inner groins. Observe the actions. Observe the results of those actions. Descend the flesh of the inner thighs. I know I didn't say that for the other poses, but that's still here. Draw from the outer knees to the outer hips. Watch those front bottom ribs. Bring the front bottom ribs towards the back body as you lengthen through the side ribs. Broaden across the front chest and the back chest. Move the shoulder bones away from each other. Actually, with your elbows bent, move your elbows away from each other so they're pointing we teach the one where they go back to open the front chest, but have them move out to the side so that the front and back chest are being open. They're not totally out to the side, but they're more out to the side. And then move the shoulders to follow the elbows. Try not to lean so far back, George. Take your hands on the inside of your knees, come up, take your feet together. Baddha Konasana. So wide legs is Upavista Konasana. Kona is angled, Vista is upward or upright. When Chaya coming back to the studio, she would help me with my Sanskrit. She's not even here online. I'm gonna have to tell her she's got to come back so she can help me with my Sanskrit. Press your heels. Hands can still be beside you. You don't have to straighten the arms. If you're on the ground and want them under your feet, that's fine. But if you're on a lift, unless you have really long arms, they won't go underneath your feet without you leaning forward. But hands by your hips are totally fine. And your elbows can be bent even, bending out to the side like I have. Press your heels. Oh, balance evenly on the sit bones. That's first, right? Press the heels, like the groins. Move the knees away from each other, right? Not just down, but away from each other. Left knee to the left, right knee to the right. Because that's the where we begin that lengthening or continue that lengthening of the groins. That's what we're looking for here. Just pushing your knees down, that doesn't mean anything. Lengthening of the groins, well, that means something. Drop the outer knees to the outer hips, compact the hips together. Because even though there's an opening, yes, in the hips, we also want that stability in the hips. Watch those front ribs, they draw towards the back body, like through the side ribs. Broaden across the front and back chests. Are you observing? Are you studying? Or are you waiting? No need to wait. Simply study. If you notice your eyes moving upward, move them parallel to the floor or slightly downward. Upward activates the brain. Some would say irritates the brain. Straight ahead is the pose, but sometimes that's actually uncomfortable for people, so slightly downward is fine, and that begins to calm the brain. Keep your hands on the outside of your knees, push your legs together, pull behind one knee, draw the flesh towards the buttock, straighten the leg, other leg, draw the flesh towards the buttock, straighten the leg. Dandasana. That's by your hands. Elbows bent, shoulders down, thighs down, look for your side. Everybody get a chair and a bolster. And at home, get a chair and bolster, pillows, a couple blankets, towels. So don't sit in the chair. we're going to play some forward bends. When I do forward bends, I like a different fold of the blanket for me. So I'm going to take these blankets, and you can use towels if you're at home. From this size, I'm going to fold them in half the thin way. So I'm going to start with 2 blankets. You might need 3. Your mileage may vary. We're going to start with Upavisa Konasana, but in a forward bend. So you'll sit at the edge. You'll have wide legs. Now, depending on you, might need a chair. You might need a chair and a bolster. You might need a chair and a bolster and a blanket or 2 blankets. I don't care. You're going to come up, you're going to lean forward. That's a little too high for me. Now, but listen, I don't care how far down you go. That's not what we're doing. We're going to do a further down version in a minute, but it's not accessible to everybody, or it might be more accessible once you do this. But what I want you to do, once you're here, you're going to rest your forehead. You lengthen forward. It's just about a forward, not too much that you stress your body. Don't put the chair on your mat. It has to go on the floor, or you can't push your chair. In front of your mat and sit towards the front of your mat, right? But we're looking to lengthen the side ribs here and lengthen the front of the spine here. All right? So set that up. So you have a couple blankets, 2, 3 blankets, or if you don't want blankets, not making them mandatory. Your body. If you decide you don't like your setup halfway through, that's okay. So the legs are wide, just like we did in Upavisa Konasana, right? And I didn't say it when we did it sitting, but I often do. Most of you here have heard it, where you want to ensure that your feet are lined up on the same plane, right? So start with the chair relatively close to you. And you have to decide what lift you want, because what you don't want is this. What you don't want is this rounding to fall down, right? We're looking for a lengthening, not a rounding as you go forward. So before you come down, so hands by your hips first, get your legs, right? So hands by your hips, doing just what we did before. Press your thighs down. Lengthen through the inner legs. Right, remember, in the tops of the thighs, and when you go for the forward bend in these poses, the more from the tops of the thighs that you can draw in towards the abdomen, right? We've been speaking about this for months. The more you draw in, the more you go forward. You still need the extension outward, but don't forget to draw it inward. Descend the flesh of the inner thighs, draw from the outer knees to the outer hips. Before you go forward, lift your side ribs here, hands up by your hips, lift your side ribs like we've been doing. Now maintain that lift as you slowly go forward. Don't round to go forward, slowly go forward. Keep the chest lifted as you go forward, and then you can fold your hands. If you grab the hold the back of the chair or have arms straight, that's okay. It's another way to do it. And then rest your head. And before you push the chair out, saying, I can go further, 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 just notice and observe. And then use your breath on each exhalation, lengthen a little bit more. We are not looking for maximum, we're looking for optimum. Each exhalation, extend a little bit more. As you extend more, draw, and at some point, not each exhalation, because at some point you're going to go, oh, this is the perfect place. Then you stop. But as you extend forward, you want to draw the tops of the thighs inward as you extend through the feet. Another blanket for the other one. Yeah, we're going to do one. We do the other. No laziness here in yoga.
Or if you don't want to bend.
What did I say? You need a higher lift, right? What did I say? You might need, well, that's a sloppy blanket. You might need one blanket there. You might need two blankets there. You have to get the props you need. Yep, one more, George. Yeah. Make sure it's the same as the other one. And take some moments here. Here's the thing, forward bends, head is supported, head is always supported, always supported, always supported. I didn't really understand that until the first time I had my head supported, and then I understood what a forward bend was. Because until then, I have very tight, I still have tight hamstrings, and I used to have even tighter hamstrings. I never had my head supported. Until one day I had my head supported. And I go, oh, that's a forward bend. Your legs are too wide apart, Leanne. Take them a little closer together. Then you're not just going to your flexibility, right? Then you need to get extension. It's not that it's completely wrong to do that. It's just I know you go into the flexibility sometimes a little too much, and we need to be careful with that. And then slowly draw the chair back towards you. Come up into the Sukhanasana, hands by your hips. Take this chair over your right leg. I realize, I don't know, we're gonna have to play with this. Some of this, I may not have set this up right. We might have to get fully out. But let's see how it goes. Take your hand inside of your left knee, pull it up, but out to the side, and then take hold of your foot and draw your foot under, right? So this leg is in Janushirshasana. Now, if you're comfortable here, great. If you're not, because some of you, I realize, are set up on the floor, and some people can't have their foot on the floor. It's very uncomfortable to have your foot on the floor. Then we can adjust, or I can bring you a blanket. How are you guys feeling? Yeah, you just take a little folded blanket and sit up. So you can even sit up, put your whole body on the blanket. How are you doing with your foot, George?
Fine.
Fine? Okay. All right, so we'll continue. If you're at home, if you're in a place you don't like, you can just put your whole setup on a blanket or a mat. You just don't want your chair on a mat so it can move. Is it the heel? Just so I know, is it the heel? Yep. Yeah. Yeah, totally fine. I didn't think of that part of it here. Lift, turn. Lift more, turn more. Now have the chair close-ish to you at first, right? Now as you lift, you're gonna come forward. Don't just round to come forward, but keep, it's not a flat back, but it's a lengthened side ribs is a better way to phrase it than a flat back. It's not a flat back. And then you can rest your head and then slowly extend that chair out to an optimal place. Now to be clear, that straight leg thigh presses down, you're lengthening the groin. Draw the top of the groin back into the body. Bring that other arm, see if you can bring the other arm around. That's it, George. Yep. Good, George. Good. Now, equally important is lengthening out over that straight leg, is lengthening through the back knee, the bent knee. So can you lengthen that groin as well and move the bent leg knee further out? Take your left ribs down. Take your left ribs down. So there's a slight twist here too, right? Now we're still lengthening through that straight leg. We're lengthening through the bent leg as well. We're drawing both outer knees to the outer hips. Now, I didn't address it in the first pose, the wide legs, Visa Konasana, but we're focusing on the length, but equally important is the width. Can you make your back wider? So forward bends aren't just about how far forward you go or how far down you go, but they're about how much width can you create widening the flesh of the back. Because again, what do we say? The lungs are there. We want to create more space for the lungs, for those back lungs. And then slowly inhale, come up. You can draw the chair back towards you. Lift up to the side ribs. And then turn to face the center. Support that knee, right? So hand on the outside of your bent leg knee. Lift it up. Put your foot down. And then you can do the holding behind the knee, but you're going to take it wide again. And now you're back into Upavista Konasana. Take the chair to the center. Feels really uneven, right? Do your legs feel completely uneven here? Just think. I can. You have it under both legs, Olivia. I just can't see your other leg. You have the blanket. See? Okay. You have to move the mat out of the way, otherwise your feet aren't on the same. Right up. Thank you, Bob.
Oh, sorry.
No problem. We appreciate your cooperation. All right, lift up to the side ribs, thighs down, lift up to the side ribs. We're going to sit with the unevenness and then come forward, right? Again, leaning forward, draw the tops of the groins into the body, and then rest your head. And then use your breath as you extend forward. Use the lengthening of the groins as you extend forward. Find an optimal place for you. Let the skull rest. And then, again, as you go forward, can you broaden across the back? And not just the top of the back, although inclusive of, but can you even start at the base and make the bottom of your back wider? And then the middle of your back wide. And then moving up towards the top of the back. And then spreading your shoulders away from each other as your skull rests. Let's slowly inhale, come up. Take the chair over the other leg. Take your hand on the inside of your right knee. Lift it up, but also out to the side. That draws the foot towards you. Then take hold of the foot. The sole comes up, so you're really turning that foot under, the top of the foot under, so the bottom of the foot points up. Lifting, turning, lifting more, turning more. Notice if as you turn, your straight leg begins to fall out. Keep it turned in. Press the thigh down, lengthen through both inner groins, draw from the outer knees to the outer hips, compact the hips. Lift up through the side ribs, and then maintaining that turn, begin that lean forward. Begin the lean forward, but not just a rounding, a lengthening, and then find a place where you can rest your head. And then if you'd like, you continue to use your breath and your groins. So you're drawing in on the groins and using your breath to lengthen more. Take the right ribs down. Take the right ribs down. We are using the chair right now. You know, some of you have been here where I teach this in the restoratives where we just completely let go. This is not the restorative version, even though it's a more accessible version. We're still working here. You are pressing the thigh down. You're lengthening the inner legs. You're drawing from the outer knees to the outer hips. Take the right ribs down and then find that length. Use your breath and allow the chair to move out so that you extend the side ribs optimally. You might have to adjust your height. Maybe the height you chose, you're discovering isn't right. Change it. Broaden the back, make the back wider from the base of the back, moving up to between the base and the middle back, to the middle back, to between the middle back and the upper back, the upper back and the shoulders, broadening the back chest, creating space for your back lungs or for the back of your lungs. Slowly draw the chair back in. Hold around the bent knee, lift up. Take it back out to the side, Uttanadista Konasana. Take the chair back towards the middle. I guess technically it's Adho Mukha Uttanadista Konasana because the face is going down, right? Adho down, Mukha's face, like Adho Mukha Svanasana, so downward facing. So again, thighs down, lift up through the side ribs, and come forward. Lengthen it, not rounding, but finding a lengthening. Maybe your experience of this pose, this is the third time we're doing it, is different than the first time. Lengthening through the inner legs, yeah, we'll press the thighs down, lengthen through the inner legs, especially the tops of the groins. They go out through the knees to the heels, but they also drop back towards the abdomen. Draw from the outer knees to the outer hips, compact the hips. Maintain those actions of the legs to allow more expansion in the torso. It's not just the legs for the legs' sake, although it's beneficial for the legs, but it's how does it affect the rest? And then can you move from a doing to a being, to an observation? Broaden across the back. Let the skull rest. Slowly inhale, come up, draw the chair back. Now the chair is a little bit in the way, so you gotta move the chair out of the way, take hold of the inside of your knees, pull up, stay, stay. Well, behind one knee, draw the flesh towards the buttock, straighten the leg. Other knee, draw the flesh towards the buttock, straighten the leg, and then you're in Dandasana. Oh, you know what we can do? Let's do this. Take the chair back. Paschimottanasana. Now some of you will find that the height you had for Upadishta Konasana is not right for Paschimottanasana. So I'm taking another blanket. You might want to as well. If anyone, does anyone want me to bring you another blanket? Because it's not near you like it was near me. Magic. You or underneath your heels if you need it. Dandasana. Press the thighs down to lift the side ribs. Keep that length from the side ribs and then begin to come forward. And again, fold your arms. Rest your head. And then using your breath, keep extending forward. So the tops of sometimes in that chair gets the feet get in the way of the chair, so I kind of have to play with that one. But lengthen the inner groins, draw the tops of the groins back towards the body as you lengthen out. You have to find what's optimal for you. We're extending, we're creating length. And as you create length, can you also create width, broaden across the back, more expansion of the flesh of the back. And what you're really looking for, so Paschimottanasana is the extension, or this is intense pose. This is being recorded too, that proof that my Sanskrit is horrible. But it's an extension of the West, which is the back side of the body, which is not just the back, but the back side. So there's an extension from the heels, which are extending outward, right? From the heels all the way back through the legs, over the buttocks, and over the back. The entire back side of the body, not just the entire back. So can you extend the entire back side of the body? That means the legs extended and the back extended. And even that bone that protrudes from the back of your head, that occipital ridge moving away from the shoulders. And then there's also the widening. Right, we're extending, but extending isn't only the length, it's also the widening. So widening the backs of the thighs, widening the back of the back. Say it again, I can't hear you. The belly's not pulled, the belly's more neutral here. So it's not pushing against the waistband, but nor is it strongly pulling back. Although if you get the releasing of the groins, in my experience, it draws back by itself, but that's not a hardening. It's not a strong abdominal where we're hardening. It softens back. And then slowly inhale, come up. Back to Namaste. All right, now go get a strap. Everybody get a strap. Now, some of you might end up doing this with the chair again. We're doing all this again without the chair. But some of you might want the chair. Some of you might need more bolsters and blankets. I'm gonna show for a moment. Because I really didn't understand this. For years, I didn't understand this. So two parts I'm going to show Jana Shishasana first. So the two parts, and you can just do the 90, you don't have to do the extra wide one. We'll do the 90-ish degree angle today. Two parts of a forward bend, the concave back. So we're here, right? We're taking the shoulder blades in, lifting, right? If you're really flexible and you can do this one and lift, okay, but you know, even for, that's a little hard today. You know, we're still coming out of the trauma of the pandemic, right? If you don't think you're traumatized, I can't say 100% everyone is, but chances are you're wrong. We've all gone through some sort of trauma here, right? As our lives were changed. So there's the lifting, right? To get this length of the sides that we were working on, and then we come forward. But for me, now you can watch your hands down, just watch for a moment. So I can get my foot here, that's fine. If you get your foot, great, otherwise hold the strap, elbows up. But today, this is it. Is my head even close to my shin here? Not feeling it to me. So therefore, I'm not getting the benefits of the forward bend. Forward bends calm the nervous system, but not if I'm sitting here struggling to exist. Take the props. Now I can let go. And because I can let my head go, I can work my legs more. Now I can really work on the strengthening of the groins, because all I was doing here was just waiting for this to be over. So I want you to get a lift. I don't know what it is for you. Maybe it's higher, right? Fold the blanket up, get more blankets. Please have your head lifted. If this is too low for you, if all of this is too low, you can get, by the way, 5 pillows from the bed too. Works. Yes, I've done it before I had bolsters and blankets. Then you go back to the chair. Get the chair with the lift. We just did it, okay? So go get what you need or what you think you need. Get more than you think you need. And better always have too much than too little. But have your head supported in these poses. All right, so from Dandasana, if you've already set something up great, you can stay there. But if you were just watching, and Sean's getting his stuff, which is great, I applaud that. I will wait for people to get the appropriate props, believe me. But and look, I'm guilty as charged. I don't know how to get the right. I'm already here. I don't want to get up and get the props. I do that too. Let your left leg fall out to the side. Take hold of the inside of the knee. If you're already there, it's okay. Take your leg out. Take the foot under. So the top of your foot is down. The bottom of your foot is up. And you have about a 90-degree angle. I'm not, whatever your knees wound up to be, your legs wound up, it's fine today. We're not focusing on that.
Jonathan, I can't see. Is your sole of your foot?
So I have it. I have my heel, my left heel on my left thigh, and the balls of the toes are under the opposite one. If that's acceptable, fine. But you can also have it in you know. I think in the springtime, this is where Abhijita was even doing it, where the foot is just touching the opposite leg. So if that's working for you better, if that's more accessible, try not to have it, George, underneath, right? Where it's coming underneath, but try and have it more open. And you know what we can do here for this leg, George, is, okay? If your bent leg knee is really high, then you do want a support for that. And my apologies if I didn't notice that for people at home before. But yeah, so if your knee is like this, my knee's a little, I'm more open than I used to be. But this is where I started, right? So that's fine. You just have something supporting your knee there. And if you don't need it, then you don't need it. And if it just feels better being there, it's okay. You need a lift. If you can reach your shin without any stress, that's cool. But reach your shin, that's great. Take a strap, concave back first. Yeah, if you can hold your feet, hold your feet. I'm not judging those that are more flexible. I think that's great. I just don't want you to force your body. So start off with a concave back. There is a twist there. So you're extending through the bent leg knee and you take these left ribs around and lift through the side ribs. Bring your shoulder blades into the body, lift the chest. Breathe here. But now maintain that length, right? What did we do with the chair? We were lengthening. So imagine the chair is still there and you're lengthening out to the chair. You can walk your hands down if you'd like and then check in. Now I only have a bolster on my thighs. That's not gonna work for me today. On my shin. So I need that extra blanket. Luckily, I already have it here. And if that doesn't work, if you want the chair, go back to the chair. Yes. Bonus point. The higher your lift is, the happier I am. The more extra credit you get, right? You think you get extra credit for a lower lift? No, you get extra credit for the higher lift. Your forehead supported. Now, elbows up and out to the side. That's going to help broaden across the back. We spoke about the widening. So now the legs. Press the bent leg thigh, straight leg thigh down. George, see if you're able to take the left hand around and hold both sides of the strap, one in each hand. Is that accessible to you?
Oh,
Yeah, that looks better. Don't hold on so tight. Soft hands, soft hands. That's for everybody. Lengthen the groins of both legs. The upper inner thighs draw inward towards the abdomen. Draw from the outer knees to the outer hips. And then on each exhalation, your chest moves towards your big toes. Your head doesn't move towards your shin, your chest moves towards your big toes. You get a lengthening of the side ribs. Every so often, when I'm really spending time in this, every so often I actually need to move my props closer to my foot because I get a little bit more length. And that's okay. For those that are holding your foot, do not pull your foot back towards you, but you push your foot with your hands and you push your hands with your foot. So it's not even with the strap. It's not that you're pulling hard back. You're actually pushing out. You're extending through that ball of the toe. And now as you get that length, again, bring those left ribs down and widen the flesh of the entire back. And soften your face completely. Janu Shirshasana. This is what quiets the mind. But it's very hard, in my personal experience, to quiet that mind when the head isn't supported. We'll leave those props where they are. Come up, create that concave back again. So we always end with the concave back too, right? Bring those shoulder blades back in, lengthen to the side rib, soft face, soft jaw. Imagine you're enjoying this. And then it's nice, just drop the strap, extend the arms up. Come to center, hands out to the side. Use your hand, lift that knee up. Go behind the knee, draw the flesh towards the buttock, straighten the leg. And then you can adjust here. Just straps out of the way. Go back into Namaste. And check in with yourself. It becomes a real journey when you do it this way, and we're not just going through the motions of quickly doing these poses. Separate your legs. But you want those props in between you. Lift up. And begin to come forward. Press the thighs down. Press the thighs down, right? So this is the concave back, right? So we're lifting. Keep the shoulder blades in. Press the thighs down. Take the upper inner thighs towards the abdomen, and then slowly extend forward. Maybe you need a higher lift. Maybe that's not working for you. If anyone here needs something, let me know. I can bring you all kinds of stuff. Yes, George gets bonus points. Take the chair. Bonus points for everyone who takes the chair. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. For those who are down far enough, you may want to take your hands and hold on to your big toes with your first two fingers and thumb. And then you bend your elbows up to the side, and that helps broaden, widen the chest and the top of the back. If you're on the chair, you can't reach. If you're too high, you can't reach. And that's fine. You don't have to reach. But I see some of you are down far enough. And for those that are down far enough, you can begin to hold your toes and bend your elbows out to the sides. Hold the big toe, I should say. But don't pull it back towards you. You're pushing away. Push your foot away with your hand. Push your hand away with your foot. Don't just pull that toe back towards you. That's not the pose. And on each exhalation, there's a surrendering here. Less doing, more being, more surrendering. We did the doing to get in. That was there. Now we are seeking a being and a surrendering. And Bob, see if you can bring those shoulder blades in a little bit more. The head seems to be dropping a lot there. Yeah, that's better. At least visually from the outside, it's better. You can be the judge from the inside and adjust as you see fit. What does your body need from you that you're not giving it? Don't ask your body solely to adapt to you, although that's what instructions I have been given, was adapt your body to what I'm saying. But now you have to go the next step and ask your body how you can do for it. What happens, Olivia, if you fold your arms and put them on top of the blanket? Pressure on where? Got it. Then take it, then take it to where it was. That's fine. You can even fold them underneath the bolster. How does that feel? All right, and then everybody slowly inhale, come up. If you're holding your toes, you hold your toes, otherwise hands by the hips and come back into that concave back. And then hold inside of your knees, pull straight up. And we'll come back into Dandasana, straight one-legged. Everybody still with me? We got a whole other side of Janu Shirshasana to do. I think I forgot that. So I'm preparing my props. on that side, take hold of the inside of your right leg. That comes out to the side, not just back, but out to the side. And then take hold of the foot. I was showing you before taking hold of the top of the foot, but better to take hold underneath the foot and then turn it up. You actually get more openness, rotation in that hip there. I've been taught both ways, but you get a different action when you're below. I'm taking my top foot, the way this wound up, I'm moving my top leg out to the side. So you can find an appropriate opening for you today. Take my props, I'm just gonna put them there for now, but we still have to start off with the concave back. So put the strap around the balls of the toes, lift up the side ribs, and begin that turn. So you have to begin to wrap those ribs around. But notice, so for me, is when I begin to wrap the ribs towards my straight leg, that back knee begins to follow. So can you lengthen through that back knee groin, holding both sides of the strap, George? Because that way you get to lengthen, otherwise you begin to collapse, okay? So I want to see that lengthening on both sides. Now lengthen both groins, straight in, bent back. That includes extending outward, but also the drawing back into the body. Draw from both outer knees to outer hips. Straight leg thigh, pressing down, right? Shoulder blades into the body, side ribs lifting. When you bring the shoulder blades into the body, please don't thrust the front bottom ribs forward. Now keep the length of the spine and side ribs. Inhale and exhale, come forward. You can walk your hands down and find the appropriate lift for you. Maybe it needs to be a little higher. Walk your hands down to an appropriate place. Maybe hold your feet, that's fine if you do, and fine if you don't. Isn't that cool? It's fine either way. And you can have your chair. If having a bunch of blankets or pillows isn't working, then use the chair. That is why I taught the chair first. So that you always know that's an option. Good, that was a good adjustment, George. And just get that blanket under the bent knee, George. Right? Under the bent knee. Yeah, just put a blanket there. No, not that one, the other one. There you go. Yeah, so that's supported. Nice. So lengthen the groins, both legs. Drop from the outer knees to the outer hips, the straight leg thighs down. Wrap the right ribs down. Wrap those right ribs down. If you're holding your foot, remember you're not pulling the foot back. You push the foot with your hands, you push the hands with your foot. Elbows are bent and out to the sides. So we're looking for a lengthening of the side ribs, but then we're looking for a broadening of the entire flesh of the back. The lift you start off with is not the lift you have to end up with. Maybe you didn't give yourself enough, then add. Or maybe you find a release, you're here for a moment, and something opens. Well, then lower it. Some of you I see pushing over time, pushing your setup closer to your foot. That is fine because you're getting more extension. The more you hear something opens, all of a sudden there's more room. So yes, you can push your lift closer to your foot. That's totally fine. As you do so, you want to then bring your right ribs down a little bit more. Find that opening and that broadening. Breathe into your back lungs. And let your skull release so that you can fully experience this pose. There's a blanket right behind you, Bob, if you need to split the difference. Then slowly inhale, come up. Concave back. So you still have the strap there. Side ribs lifting, shoulder blades in, the thighs still pressing down, the groin still lengthening. Then releasing the strap, arms up. Coming to center, hands up to the sides. Please support this knee, lift it up. Hands behind the knee, draw the flesh towards the buttocks as you straighten the legs. Move the props. Get the feet together. Dandasana. And just for fun, because we're here, our legs straight, we have all these props next to us, Paschimottanasana. You can use the chair. You can use the chair or set up some props on your shins or on your thighs or wherever you need them to be. Strap goes around the toes, concave back first, Paschimottanasana. Now remember, what did we say Paschimottanasana is? Intense stretch of the west. I got it now. Intense stretch of the west. Didn't come to me before. There you go. It's all buried in our brain somewhere. It just has to rise to the top. Press the thighs down, lift the side ribs. So intense stretch of the west means you have to extend the back to the legs too. So get that part now. Lengthen the groins and then lengthen the back of the legs. The heels moving away. The whole back of the leg extended. Now keep the side ribs lifted, shoulder blades in. Inhale, exhale, come forward. You can walk your hands down. Maybe you take hold of your feet. You don't need to. Find the nice place for your lift. If it's not working, please get your chair back and rest your head. And then extend from the heels all the way back, over your butt, over the lower back, all the way back towards the top of the back of your head. The thighs are still pressing down, the groins are still lengthening. The more you can draw from the upper inner thighs back towards the abdomen, the more you can come forward. Now widen the back. It's not just the length, it's the widening. And let your skull completely release and relax. Slowly inhale, come up. Concave back, shoulder blades in, lift through the side ribs. Right? If you're holding your feet, that's fine, but sometimes we go forward and we can't hold the feet, but in order to get the concave back, we still need to then retake hold of the strap, and that's fine. Release the strap, arms up, Urdhva Hastasana. Triceps towards the nose, it's a real Urdhva Hastasana. Turn your hands out to the sides, come down. Dandasana. Check in with yourself. Release, put the props to the side, downward facing dog. You can start your mat, you on blocks, on a chair, whatever you want. Go into it on your own. You know how to do it. Press into the hands, lengthen to the arms, toes under, straighten the legs. Come into the pose. Thighs back, chest towards your thighs, sit bones towards the ceiling. Let your head go. Let your head go. Then bend your legs, come down. And set yourself up for Shavasana. So take a blanket for your head. Span your legs into your chest for a moment. Give yourself a hug here. Something kind to yourself. On an inhalation, take your feet to the floor. Straighten your legs one at a time. Let your legs go. Find a comfortable place for your arms. Let go. Let go. Study. Study your experience. All the doing is done. Now it is time solely to be. Rest your eyes into your cheekbone. Aim your awareness towards the center of your skull. And become a witness for your breath. Slowly begin coming out. A soft, smooth, peaceful inhalation. A longer, smooth, peaceful exhalation. Move your toes, move your nose. Your legs, place your feet on the floor, knees together, feet apart. Take your hands onto your abdomen or onto your chest. And the healing energy of your hands penetrate your body, pierce through your layers, and heal whatever it is you may need healing with today. When you feel ready, pick a side, extend your arm past your ear, roll to that side, twist your ear into your upper arm. Feel ready, place the top hand on the floor in front of your heart, turn towards the floor, use your hand and your elbow to push to come up. Decision, you can sit up on the lift, and your palms together. Draw your eyes back and down as you turn the corners of your lips up. Find a lifting through the side ribs, through the spine, and the broadening of the front and back chest. Eyes rest into the cheekbones. Observe your practice. Offer gratitude for all that your body has done for you today. even the parts that may have not done as much as you wanted them to. Thank them for what they did too. And let's close our practice together by chanting one collective Om. Deep inhalation. Om. Let your eyes open. Big smile. Namaste. Bow to the divine. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody here. Thank you, everybody at home. For those that are here, when you put the blankets away, please make sure